This is the plaintiff, Robert Jenkins. While breaking into the defendant's house one night, a neighbor witnessed the break-in and called the police. He claims the defendant owes him for the lost income and for the emotional stress of being arrested in the amount of $5,000. This is the defendant, Ed Warner. He says the plaintiff had no business trying to get into his home, and he got caught in the act. He's dumbfounded that he's the one being sued, and in fact says the plaintiff cost him several $100s in damage to his house. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $500, the deductible on his insurance, to cover repairs. This is the Kangaroo Court. This is the case number 001, Jenkins versus Warner. Honourable, I am DeBoss presiding. All right, I've read your complaints. Mr. Jenkins, you say you were arrested trying to break into the defendant's house.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It was about 10:30 at night, and I needed some cash for some beers. So I saw this house, and it looked like nobody was home, you know? I looked around and tried knocking on the door a few times, and nobody came to the door, so I figured it was safe.
And that's when you decided to break in?
Yeah, I tried kicking in the back door, but the guy must have had a deadbolt on it, and all I ended up doing was denting the door.
I see, so your efforts were being hampered by the defendant having bolstered his security. What? The deadbolt made it harder to break in.
Oh, yeah. So I found a rock and smashed the basement window and crawled in.
At what point were you arrested?
Well, I'd found some cash and an MP3 player, and next thing I know, the cops were outside telling me to come out.
Okay, now I'll hear you, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was out at my daughter's home across town, and my neighbor witnessed someone breaking into my house.
How did your neighbor know it was a break-in?
I told her I would be at my daughter's until quite late, so they knew there wouldn't be anyone home. Now, we have a sort of neighborhood watch system where we keep an eye on each other's house like that. So she called 911 and reported someone in my backyard was breaking in. Then she called my cell phone, and I rushed back home.
And what did you find when you arrived home?
There were 4 police cars parked out front, and they had the plaintiff in handcuffs, questioning him.
Did they find any of your belongings on him?
Yes, they found my cash box containing about $2,000 that I was saving up for vacation, and a portable MP3 player still in the box that I had purchased to give to my nephew for his birthday.
You're planning a vacation?
Yes, I'm going to Hawaii.
You haven't gone yet, then? When were you planning to go?
On the 3rd of next month, Your Honor.
I saw in your evidence package that you provided that the player cost $100?
Correct.
That comes to $2,100. Mr. Jenkins, you feel that you deserve $5,000 from the defendant?
Yep.
How do you figure that?
Because I wasn't able to keep the money and pawn the MP3 player. Plus, I didn't like getting arrested. Spoiled my whole night sitting in jail waiting to get let out.
And you feel it's the defendant's fault?
Yeah. He had lights on in the back and his shrubs had been trimmed back so the neighbor could see me. Otherwise, I would have gotten away with it.
Mr. Warner, you have a countersuit.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's that all about?
It's a fairly expensive door, Your Honor, and the defendant kicked it so hard he dented the metal top layer. And there was also some damage to the frame. And then there's a window. That had to be replaced. My insurance policy has a $500 deductible.
And you want the plaintiff to pay that deductible?
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll take a short recess, and I'll be back to give my decision. Got an idea for a case to be heard in the Kangaroo Court? Send it to us, and you might see it in an upcoming episode. In all my years as a judge, I don't think I have ever heard a case like this. I cannot believe what I am hearing. Mr. Warner, how could you even think I would grant you the deductible on your insurance? Mr. Jenkins not only suffered a loss of potential income for that night, but he also suffered the humiliation of being arrested in front of all your neighbors, and then was thrown into jail for several hours.
But he damaged my home.
Oh, boo-hoo.
He tried to steal my money and my nephew's birthday gift.
Well, you still have those. But Mr. Jenkins came away with nothing. Now, does that sound fair to you, that I should beat him when he's already down by making him pay your insurance deductible, too?
Well, yes, I do.
May I remind you, that if you had simply left the door unlocked, that Mr. Jenkins could have gotten in and out without having to break your door and window. But no, you locked up before you went out, so any damage to your house was your fault.
But Your Honor.
And your nosy neighbor should mind her own business if she knows what's good for her. Understand?
But
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Counterclaim is dismissed.
Parties are excused. Yeah, now that I got away with it, I'm probably going to hit the guy's house again when he's in Hawaii. Well, this is a total farce in there.